day and selamat datang. Welcome to the virtual colloquium by Institute of Teacher Education International Languages Campus, or better known as IPG KBA, with the theme Humanizing Teaching and Learning, the Dynamics of Language Education in the Waves of Global Change. I, Selvanayagi Shanmugam, your moderator for this session, and this will be our 18th session of our virtual colloquium. And I hope you will stay tuned till the end of the session. Before we start this session, let me lay out a few housekeeping matters. First, please register yourself in the link provided above. We will be sending your certificates based on the email addresses you provide. Please ensure that you have your accurate email address stated. Second, we would love to hear from you during today's presentation. If you have any questions for our speaker, please feel free to send it through the chat box. The speaker will be answering questions at the end of the session. This will be our last session of Virtual Colloquium 2021, KOMAD. There were a lot of sharings with all the speakers in the previous sessions, and I hope it was all useful for you. For today, our speaker will be Madam Anis Alisha Abdullah. Madam Anis Alisha obtained her academic and professional qualification in Science and TESOL from National University of Malaysia and University Malaya respectively. She attained her postgraduate certificate in trainer development in English language teaching from University College of St. Mark St. John's, Plymouth. She has been a teacher educator, and currently she is the director of Institute of Teacher Education, Tun Abdul Razak Campus in Sarawak. She is also involved in primary innovation with the British Council, differentiated instruction, mentoring and coaching, ELT trainer development, and research on early literacy as well as the efficacy beliefs of teachers. She played a key role as the coordinator for Institute of Teacher Education Batu Lintang campus in the planning and implementation of TESOL twinning program between Malaysia and New Zealand for the third cycle. Based on her vast experience, she was appointed to be the part of blended learning for teacher educators in Asia and Europe project from November 2015 to February 2019, which involved participants from France, Belgium, Estonia, Denmark, Bangladesh, Pakistan, Bhutan, and Malaysia. For today, her topic of discussion is riding the waves of disruption, exploiting opportunities, overcoming threats. Hi, Madam Anis. Good morning and welcome to the session. Okay.
Morning.
It's just a question which is going to take us aboard on our discussion for today. With reference to your topic, surfacing the waves of disruption, overcoming threats, and optimizing opportunities. Would you like to share your take on these waves of disruption and how they are impacting the education field? Just share with us.
Right. Okay. First of all, thank you very much, Dr. Selva, for your kind introduction. Hello, everyone, from wherever you are. I'm honored to be invited as one of the speakers for KOMAD 2020. And actually, I have been following KOMAD since 2020, okay, which is last year. And I must applaud IPGKBA for this initiative, which has brought so many educators from all over the world to share their knowledge and experiences on education. So before I answer your question, Dr. Selva, can I get the participants to do something for me? Okay, Joanna, can I have the slides, please? Right, the next slide. Okay, for our audience who are with us this morning, Can you just very quickly indicate to me in your checkbox with a Y for yes and an N for no to this question? Can you confidently explain what it means by VUCA world? Just very quickly, type it in your chat box, and Dr. Selva will help me to see whether do I have more yeses or nos. Are we getting responses, Dr. Selva? Okay, I'm not able to see the responses in the chat box. Okay, never mind. I'm not able to see you as well, Dr. Silva. But anyway, okay, I'm sure some of you would have typed in Y, and some of you would have typed in.
We are getting a lot. Puan Anis, we are getting a lot of N. No.
A lot of no's. Okay, right.
Yes.
So if it's a lot of no's, let's go to the next slide then. Joanne, can I have the next slide? Okay, actually, the term VUCA is not a new one. Actually, it is a term to describe the world, the state of the world. In fact, this term was coined in the year 1998, which is like 20 years ago, by a group of college students in the US to describe the state of world affairs at that time after the Cold War. Yeah, in which V stands for volatile, which shows that the changes are very quick. So if, let's say, for example, if someone say you're a very volatile person, you don't say thank you, because it means that you're the type of person that changes very quickly, and usually for the negative, negative changes. So the word VUCA here, V stands for a state of the world which is so volatile. U stands for uncertain. You can never truly predict what is going to happen in the future. And C stands for complex. Everything in the world now is very, very interconnected. What we do in Malaysia will impact people in China. What people in China will do will impact the rest of the world as well. So interconnectedness, which contributes to the complexity of the state of our world now. And of course, A is ambiguous, meaning there's lots of gray areas. In our present context, however, VUCA is not brought about by an impending war, but rather it refers to the disruptions which is brought about by advancement in the digital technology. When I say disruption, means that we don't do the things that we used to. We don't shop the way we used to. We don't communicate the way we used to. We don't learn the way we used to. This is because of the disruptions caused by advancement in digital technology. Next slide, please, Joanne. I'll just share with you some very interesting data on how rapid the changes are due to digital economy. In the last century, for cars to reach 50 million users, it took 68 years to do so. For YouTube, 4 years. Facebook, 3 years. This is in the present decade. And for Pokemon Go, for those of you who are fans of Pokemon Go, I used to be once, it took only 19 days for Pokemon Go to reach 50 million users. So that is just to give you an idea of how rapid the changes are due to this digital technology. Okay, next slide, please, Joanne. Now, what does this mean in the education sector? This changes, which is caused by digital technology. Of course, one, it has caused massive inequalities, meaning the haves and the have-not, the gaps. So students who have better access to technology will be surging ahead, whereas those in the middle class as well as the underprivileged, they will be left wanting. So the most hard hit, I would say, in the context of the greatest educational needs and the fewest opportunities. And many of them, those who have been historically marginalized and the underserved groups. So what we see here is, first, the digital gap. caused by digital technology in the education field is we see that technological advancement have shortened the shelf life of knowledge. And the changes are so fast, and you find that it creates so many new jobs, and education is just not able to catch up. So what does this mean? This means that our graduates, upon entering the working world, will find that most of what they have learned in their varsity life and probably school days have not prepared them for this super fast changing dynamic world. And they will find that there are gaps in the relevancy of their education, of what they studied in university and what is expected by their employers. Now, if that is, if you look at it, okay, these are the three, at least three disruption caused by digital technology. Then what happened was that, okay, last year, I'm sure everybody remembers the date, March 28th last year, we were struck by COVID-19 crisis, which brought the world to the lockdown. So what we have is, first, as it is, the world is already in a VUCA state, caused by the disruptions by digital technology. Then the pandemic crisis comes in, the pandemic situation comes in. So we have a very unprecedented situation. We have the disruptions and we have the pandemic situation coming in, and it is a crisis that has never been experienced by the world before. So can I have the next slide, please? Right. Now, I would like to ask our audience, how has this education crisis brought on by the pandemic has affected you in 3 words? Can you just very quickly type in the chat box, how has the education crisis brought upon by the pandemic has affected you? Very quickly, 3 words. Okay. Selva, are you able to read the responses and probably just read some out to me, please?
Yeah, I'm just waiting, still waiting for the comments. Just give me a few minutes, few
3
seconds.
words. Yeah. I'm sure most of our audience are teachers. So teachers, how has the pandemic situation affected you, especially in your teaching and your learning?
Okay. One participant, he mentioned that's uniquely different.
Very positive response.
We are waiting for the others to respond.
While waiting for the responses, okay, what happened was that during the pandemic, billions of students worldwide are forced to carry their classes online, regardless of whether they are school students or university students or college students, everyone had to carry on their classes remotely. Now, what has this cost the students, One, remember we had the digital gap. Yes, Silva, you're about to say something?
There's one more response. This is from Dr. Bay. She said confined in a house, change to an online method.
Right, confined to the house. That's the word there.
Yes.
And then change to online method. So if you see, initially I spoke about disruption caused by digital technology. So there was already that gap. There was already that digital gap. Now, when billions of children have to go online for their classes, you find that that gap becomes even bigger, even wider. It has exacerbated the gap caused by the digital technology advancement. And again, you find that the gap between the haves and the have-nots become even wider. And in cases where students are able to access the internet and are connected remotely with their teachers and friends, we still feel there will still be feelings of isolation. Dr. Bay was saying that, confined to the house. So ironically, even though you are connected to your friends, even though the students are connected to their friends, but they are alone in the house. So that feeling of isolation is inevitable. Because when students are not able to socialize and interact with their friends physically, the natural way, like they used to, of course, you see that the feeling of isolation. That's why we find that, or we hear rising cases of mental health issues, even among very young children. Because how is this going to affect their learning? Well, very simply, one of the most fundamental pre-requirements to learning is a safe environment. So we cannot deny that the pandemic has affected learning because students do not feel safe. Some of them may have lost parents or loved ones to the COVID, and some of them may have parents who have lost their jobs. So some of them may have gotten totally disconnected from the friends. And of course, we do not know, the long-term effects on learning. It's too soon to tell, but definitely, if we look at the rising number of mental cases and mental issues among doesn't matter adults or children, we know that it has affected. Now, having said that, Dr. Selva, all these threats should not deter us from the big why in education. We educate so that we can change human lives and conditions. Yes, we have all this thing coming in. I can say, the dark periods that we are facing now, but that should not deter us from the big why in education. What we educators aspire is that we aspire to change our students' lives. So, can I have the next slide, please? Let's bring us back. Next one. Okay. Let's bring us back to the big why in education. The next slide, please, Joanna. Okay. When we say we educate so that we can change human lives and conditions, we aspire. What do we aspire to achieve when we say we want to change human lives and conditions? Now, let us be reminded of the 17 goals to transform our world by 2030, our sustainable development goals, SDG. When all this was the pledge by countries that we will mobilize efforts to end all forms of poverty, to fight inequalities, and to tackle climate change while ensuring no one is left behind. So, what do we need to do to achieve these global goals? Of course, education is one of the pathways to better lives and condition. True believer of education in changing lives. I'll use my own personal experience. I do not come from a well-to-do family. There are 6 of us in the siblings, but my parents worked hard to make sure that we get good education, and because of that, it has raised the standards of and quality of all my siblings' life. So that's why I say, if we want to have a better life, education is the pathway. Therefore, we need to provide quality education to our students. We need to develop the global competencies of our students. Let's be reminded, okay, what are these global competencies that we want to develop in our students? Next slide, please. Learning skills. Okay, we want our students to have critical thinking, creativity, collaboration, communication. We want them to have literacy skills. Next slide, please. And of course, life skills, very important: flexibility, leadership, initiative, productivity, social skills. And I am reminded of what Professor Yong Zhao said about education. Next slide. Very interesting. He was saying that education crisis is a terrible thing to waste. If you have the opportunity, please go on Google for his book, Professor Yong Zhao, and he has very many interesting things to say about how we should view education crisis. We should take it as an opportunity for us to have a paradigm shift. So he was saying that don't ever waste any crisis. It's a terrible thing to waste. So what we need to do in the midst of the pandemic situation, we need to reset our thinking. We need to recalibrate our thinking so that the education crisis that we are currently facing will not go to waste. That's a very lengthy question, a very lengthy answer to your question, Dr. Selva. That's my take on disruption
Yes,
and the impact on education, and how this should not distract us from achieving our global goals.
Yes, that was a lot of input in your answer, which was very long, and it was a good kind of a take on it. Okay, so that brings me to my next question, which is, in Malaysia, we are already making plans to move to the country from COVID-19 endemic phase. Okay, we are moving towards it. Can you share your thoughts on how can we as teachers, optimize the lessons learned? We learned a lot of lessons, like what some of our viewers also contributed. They said that it was strenuous, it was pressure, there was a lot of novelty, then it was a lot of change. Okay, so how do we teachers optimize the lesson learned during the pandemic to propel us forward and keep us on the right track to achieve the 17 sustainable development goals and the global competency in our students?
Okay. Um, when the pandemic struck us in the year 2020, we saw changes happening in the education world like never before. We cannot deny that there have been dark periods, particularly in the early stages of our lockdown. However, along with these threats, we saw many, many opportunities actually. Okay, one, teachers. We have never seen such a large number of teachers working so frantically, trying to find 1001 ways to teach their students. We have never seen teachers experimenting with on such a large scale with what works best for their children, for their students. And we have never seen such large scale of teachers paying really, really close attention to the gaps in their students' performance. And we have never seen such large scales of teachers reaching out to their students. A lot of things we took for granted before the pandemic. Yeah. But when the world went into a lockdown, teachers were trying their best. Where are my students? How am I going to contact them? I must make sure that they are able to access the classes before we have our students in the classroom. And then you find that teachers trying all sorts of ways to make sure that their students are able to understand what they teach online. So if it doesn't work this way, they try another way. If they cannot reach the students online, they find other ways to reach the students. So to me, that is an opportunity whereby we see teachers going out of their comfort zone and experimenting with many, many, many different ways of teaching. And I see also the opportunity there. We find that there was a really great leap in terms of awareness in teachers that lifelong learning is very, very important. Before, probably it takes a letter of instruction from the school heads to get teachers to attend CPD courses. But right now, it's very common for teachers to actually go and surf and look for, webinars. We have so many webinars online, and we find that teachers taking the initiative themselves to look for webinars which will best suit their purpose. And to me, that is a very good thing. Okay. We also see, never before have we seen such a large number of teachers, for some for the first time, using technology in their teaching. And for the past 20 years, we have been we have been persuading teachers to use technology in their teaching, but we have never been truly successful until the pandemic struck. So almost overnight, without persuading, without incentives, without convincing, we see teachers are so immersed in using technology in their teaching. Before, they may have dabbled in it, but during the pandemic, they delved into it. Right? Okay, let's see the next one. Next slide, please. Yeah, so that's the teacher. So the next slide. Can I have the next slide, please? Okay, what about parents? Again, opportunities. We see that we have never seen such a large number of parents getting involved in their children's education. Pre-pandemically, probably I'm talking from my own experiences. Yeah. The only times that I will meet my children's teachers will be any of these three. First, maybe the first day of school registration, probably because there will be, you have to pay the registration and fees, and there'll be we'll be dealing with money, so I'll go to the school and meet the teachers. The next one is probably the annual one, whereby the teachers will hand parents back the report cards, and in probably about 10 minutes, will speedily explain to me how my child has been performing for the 1 year. And probably the third one I get to see teachers is maybe when my son or my daughter has been naughty, so I've been summoned to the school. Yeah. But what we have seen throughout the pandemic situation are parents who actually make great efforts to communicate and collaborate with their children's teachers. Isn't that a wonderful thing? Yeah. Parents creating learning partnerships, collaborating with teachers, and creating partnership with the teachers, and learning alongside the children. And I think many parents will agree with me that never before have they had such a great understanding of their children's curriculum, because they are immersed in their children's education. They're so deeply involved in their children's education, because now, before, teaching was seen as the sole role of the teacher. But now we find that parents are also on board. And I think that should lead to the realization in parents that education is a shared responsibility. After all, parents were their children's first teachers. Yeah. And in fact, I was just discussing, I was just recalling a funny incident. My younger lecturers, and I was over I overheard their conversation. They were actually conversing about, how did you teach your child to understand Newton's law of motion? So parents taking very active part in their children's education. Now, what has this shown us? Which it shows us that teachers can change, parents can change, students can change. Now, what about the government? Opportunities. Okay, next slide, please. Next slide, please. Joanne. Okay, before that, the slide before that. Yeah. Okay. During the pre-pandemic days, of course, topics of discussion in the government is, how they can narrow or close the digital gap between rural and urban areas. They have spoken about it in the parliament. They debate on it. They draw long term plans on it. But when the whole country was thrown into a lockdown with the majority of the employees working from home, governments were given a very, very loud wake-up call. That is to wire up the country, and not just wire up the country fast. Yeah. So they don't just discuss about it now. They actually do something really quickly, prioritizing and also channeling large sums of allocation to upgrade facilities so that everyone has access to the internet. And one good outcome, I would say, of the pandemic is the realization that access to to technology has become a basic human right. It's not a privilege anymore. It's a basic human right that everyone should have access to technology. And countries from all over the world, governments came to that realization when the country was forced into a lockdown. Yeah. And also, the pandemic also has resulted in global connection. We are all remotely connected. We find that, okay, KOMAD, IPG, KBS, KOMAD is a very good example of how globally connected we are. Because right now, I'm from Sarawak, I'm in Seremban, but I am able to communicate with Selva, who is in KL, and of course, our participants who are probably from all over the world, probably from Indonesia, from Philippines, all from the safety of the office. So international webinars are connected on a daily basis, where people from all over the world discuss issues which are of interest to of their own personal professional interest. And next week, Selva, yeah, 1st November, in Malaysia, schools will be reopening. We have started reopening in stages, but 2nd November, 1st November, when the country goes into third phase, schools will be reopening, though at
Yes.
50% capacity. And I know many parents cannot wait to send the children back to school for things to go back to normal. But is it really so? What will the students go back to? You know, uh,
But
if they
we will somehow, Puan Anis, kind of get adjusted to it and learn to
correct,
live with it.
correct.
I feel
But
that's
yeah, but for me personally, if they go back, if our children go back to school on the 1st November and don't go back to studying the same way, teachers go back to teaching the same way as before, we would have wasted a gigantic uh, educational crisis. We would have
I
wasted
agree.
what we have learned during the pandemic. And instead of taking one step forward, we'll be taking two steps backwards. And I'm sure that will not happen. Yeah. Um, to answer your question, I haven't answered the question, is that what do we do to optimize? How do we optimize all these lessons that we have learned, these opportunities, the ones that I've been talking about, parents being involved and teachers being experimental? Well, okay, next slide, please. Uh, what I hope to see is that, okay, education post pandemic is that there will be a change, there will be a shift in the use of learning resources. Textbooks are typically unidirectional, meaning every student learns the same thing, the one which is prescribed in the textbook. Yet during the pandemic, teachers could see for themselves there are, that how readily available teaching resources are. Parents also could see for themselves the readily available teaching resources or learning resources on the internet. So what I hope is that teachers will continue with their creativity in using learning resources, and because the learning resources are all readily available online, I hope that this the teachers will take an opportunity to shift their roles, instead of from the one who direct their students' learning to that who guides their students' learning, especially to the art of learning. Resources are all there. What do the teachers need to do? You bring your textbook, your teachers, your students will be saying, oh teacher, we have so many other materials which is available online. So the role of the teacher will now shift from showing them the resources to uh, guiding the students in the art of learning how to learn. And and also we see the shift in the role of teachers, to guide their students on mental shortcuts. Okay, you have this much of materials, learning resources in front of you. How do you choose which one will benefit you the most? All these mental shortcuts in processing or in dissecting learning resources. That's where I see, and that's where I hope students will go back to, whereby they will see that the role in their teachers more of teaching them how to learn. They'll be learning how to learn. They'll be learning the art of learning. Yeah. And next slide, please. Another shift in role. Okay, next slide. Another opportunity also, Dr. Selva, is
Yes.
for us to move towards getting our students as owners of learning, gain the ownership of learning. Um, Again, I would like to quote Professor Yong Zhao, very cute. He was saying that education for schools are a problem because students are the problem. Why? And he says that education will be problem free for schools if all children, all our students are the same. Same interests, same inclinations, same talents, same strengths. It will be so easy for the schools, he was saying. Everybody exactly the
They're
same level.
equal. They're
Yes, they're
equal.
all
Yes.
equal in terms of their abilities, in terms of their interests. But that is not so. Children are diverse. They have different interests. They have different inclination. They are at different levels of mental capacities as well. So um, that's why what we need to do as teachers is that we need to focus on making sure that our students are given the opportunity to develop their talents, their uniqueness. Because in the VUCA world, where things are so uncertain, what the employers will be looking for will be uniqueness in the individuals. Because in a world that is very uncertain, you got to be able to optimize the unique talents of the individuals. Yeah. And
Yes.
how do we give ownership of learning to our students? Rule number one, talk less in the classroom. Yeah, teachers, don't talk too much. Don't be an instruction machine. Instruction, instruction, instruction. We want to give ownership to the students. So when they have ownership, they are the ones who should speak more in the classroom. That's why teachers should engage students in discussions, not just with you, but with their peers as well. And we help them, through this discussion to build relationship and trust. Encourage them to contribute ideas on what they want to learn. It's not about what you want to teach them, but what do they want to learn? Yeah. Um,
That
because what
that
happens?
brings Yeah, Puan Anis, that brings to what you said that, how do we allow this our students, or how do we motivate them to have this ownership of learning? Because as you said earlier, the students were having classes at home, and parents were also involved, seeing the children studying, and quite a lot of parents. Personally, I know they were saying that okay, teachers were it was like a one way direction for teachers when they were conducting classes, and some of my even my cousins were telling me, why is the teacher talking more than the students? Then they
Right.
said, this is how now we see what is happening in the classroom. Okay, they are not allowing the children to think. So like
Yes.
that it's not for all the teachers, but some of them, I suppose. So I think like what you said, that giving them the autonomy, giving them the ownership, that is
Yes.
good. So there's
Meaning,
one
that's what I
question.
said.
I
Yeah. Yeah.
There's also
Cardinal
one
rule.
question.
Yeah.
She asked me that she's asking, how do we motivate our students to join our lessons during this pandemic?
Okay. How do you motivate your students? I always feel that, for me personally, when I was a teacher before, okay, not meaning to be the sage on the stage, but I always feel that when I go to the classroom, I have something to create excitement in my students. Meaning, I would try all sorts of ways of thinking. How do I create lessons so that the students will look forward to the time when I come into the classroom. So the onus is still on us as well as teachers. You should know what the interests of your students. What do your students in your class? What do they like? What are their interests? That's why we need to know our students well, and that one is the hardest part to me. The hardest part in being a teacher is
True.
how do you create that excitement in your students to take part, to engage, to participate in your classroom. That's why, when we get students to rely too much on us to do all the thinking, they get disengaged. That's why, as teachers, we got to think of how are you able to create online classes which makes the students come back for more. They want to come back for more. They want to come back for more. That to me is what each and every one of us Teachers, only you know what interests your students. You should know what interests your students. Capitalize on that. And I can bet you there will be, what is that? There will be begging their parents to say, come on, it is Dr. Selva's class. I cannot miss a class. So that is why you got to think, you have to imagine let's say you have a class tomorrow, you have to imagine the online class. How do I get them to be interested? So that will be my response to that question, Dr. Selva. Okay,
Yeah.
another opportunity. I find another opportunity as well. Uh, we are all connected. When we go online, we're all connected. Teachers are connected. You go on webinar. I'm sure teachers, you will agree with me. Never in your life have you attended so many what is that,
You are right.
webinars in your entire life. And I'm sure never in your life have you met so many teachers from other countries as well. You will
You are
hear
right. You are
teachers
right.
from China, teachers from US, speaking. So if connect your students. If you're able to connect to teachers from other countries, get their email. I'm sure at the end of presentation, there's always email there. Go find out and see whether you can connect with that teacher and connect your students with her or his students as well. That is an opportunity. I hope that, when the students go back to school, I hope that teachers will continue with connecting their students with students from the other parts of the world. Okay, right. Uh,
They do have Puan Anis. Now what I see is there were some schools or some teachers I know of. They started this Penpal program where the students will write to different schools in the country and also in other countries. So
yes,
this program was doing very well. And now
yes,
what happened because of the pandemic? They don't write letters anymore. They have this uh, exchange of culture online. A lot of thing is
wonderful.
happening. Yeah, especially in your state, in Sarawak, Tawau, sorry, in Sabah. In Tawau, they are doing a lot of this kind of exchange. I know teachers who are doing it. So I think
Wonderful.
maybe like what you said, that they can use technology to give this kind of ownership to learning of the students. So
Yes,
that
before Dr. Silva, when we had pen pals before, we had to wait for 2 weeks, for them to reply us, or 3 weeks. Now it's like,
exactly.
yes. Okay, right. Yeah.
Exactly. So now, uh, how do you see the role of technology in helping these teachers? How it's going to help in schools and teachers in giving the students ownership of learning? How do we connect technology to this ownership of learning?
The wonderful about technology is that we have diagnostics in technology that will actually help the teacher to categorize the students according to whatever lah, that you have, according to their interests, according to their levels, according to their inclination. I see the wonderful thing about technology here is that the diagnostics can help teachers to identify and segmentize the students according to categories. That one, if we were to do it, it will be slower. Technology can do it very fast. So take advantage of technology. And also, I
Yes.
see technology can also increase the efficiency in terms of administrative systems. You know, how you monitor progress, how you keep track of performances. That one, technology, leave it to technology. The human side of education, leave it to the teachers. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, you are very right. Okay, because we have to humanize whatever we are teaching, we have to humanize it. So I think that is very good. And finally, I have one question for you. What is your advice to teachers on how they can keep with the uncertainties of the yucca world?
Okay. First of all, be rest assured, teachers, our roles can never be replaced by technology. Be rest assured that you will not lose your job because of technology. Because technology may change the functions of teacher, but it can never take over the human role of a teacher, because artificial intelligence can never take do not have the capacity, I should say, do not have the capacity to empathize. Teachers, we can empathize. Artificial intelligence cannot empathize. Artificial intelligence do not have the capacity to mentor. Artificial intelligence do not have the capacity to create trust in your students. So first thing, be rest assured that your role in, as a mentor can never be replaced by technology. And also, you need to constantly remind yourself of the big why of your choice to be an educator. Days when you feel like throwing the towel, I'm sure each and every one of us have at some point in our lives feel that, okay, I've got enough of this. I'm just going to throw in the towel. Remind yourself of the big why, because we educators change people's lives to be better. So if we don't do our part, what is to become of our future? So in a VUCA world where things are changing very rapidly, I think my advice to the teachers is you have to develop that agility. You have to be agile. Agile meaning you have to be very aware of the changes in your environment, and you have to be very quick to adapt to these changes. Learn from the eagle. I don't know how many of you have heard about change lessons which can learn from the eagle. The eagle is the longest living species of its kind. Eagles can live up to 70 years of age, you know. But at the age of 40, the eagle has to make a very painful change, because at the age of, 40, the eagles would have their feathers will be too weak to help them to fly to higher levels. Their what do you call it? Their beaks will be curved, so it makes them very difficult to catch their what do you call it? Their prey, and also their claws will be too long and curled, so it makes them difficult to catch their prey as well. So what do eagles do? When that happens, the eagle will purposely pluck out the whole. Go and Google on this. There's lots of videos on the process that eagles go through when they want to change. The eagle will pluck, literally pluck all the feathers until he's bald, and it will purposely crack its beak and also its claws on the stone until he breaks it. And what happens is that after all is broken, then the eagle knows that it will grow new beak, new claws, better feathers, and it will grow to another 30 years. That's why it can reach to 70 years of age. So what does it mean for us? It means that, uh, we need to make changes in our life, necessary changes. Some may be painful. We need to let go of things that do not add value to our lives. We need to take stock of what is happening in your life, and look into things that will help you to soar further up. Yeah, and good habits for me for us to develop, all of us, is not to externalize blame. When something do not go the way that you want to, you have to ask yourself the question. Okay, decide. When you think about, when you identify why things go wrong, identify those that are within your control to change, and identify those which are out of your control to change. Don't bother about those that you cannot change. Look into areas in which you are empowered to change. Otherwise, if we externalize blame, we blame the government, we blame the school leaders, we blame parents, we blame the community, then nothing is going to happen. So my advice is that look into how you can bring about the changes which are within your control, right? Because VUCA world, things are very uncertain. So that's why we need to be agile. We need to be ready to change and to adapt. Yeah. Okay.
I agree with you for all this, especially the eagle. Okay, like for me, a symbolism for myself is to be the eagle, Ponanis, because you see,
Yes.
the eagle, you have to go through pain in order to make some good change in ourselves. So, like us, we are almost in our 50s, And we at this age we are willing to make change so that we can still sustain, or we are sustainable in this academic world. If not, then
Correct.
I think we are a lost species. And also,
Yes.
like from what you have said, what I have gathered is we all because of this pandemic, due to all the changes, we kind of go around looking for a lot of new applications, and we Google for
Correct.
application, not only for the webinars, but we also look for a lot of applications which will help us in our classroom. And we
Yes.
try it out with our students. Like personally, like myself, I was like 20 years ago scared of ICT. If anything goes wrong, I dare not click any button. Okay, I will be scared because I don't know what happens if it goes wrong. But now it kind of makes us brave. As teachers, we are brave. So what? Let's do it.
Yes.
So most of the teachers have gone all out to do a lot of things, not
Correct.
only in doing
Yes.
ICT, like in the interiors of Malaysia, what we have read is they have come up with a lot of modules. Okay, even that modules, I think like what you said, we can make it interesting and let the students take part. And this pandemic, this has made the world become smaller. It
Yes.
has really
Exactly.
made, we have
Yes.
made everybody reach to each other.
That
Okay,
is
so
why I'm really hoping 1st November that the students will not go back to the way they study, they learn, and the teachers will not go back to the way they taught before the pandemic happened. Yeah.
yeah, I think they will not, because you see, it is not only making the teacher's life difficult. In fact, it for me it made my life easier, because I was kind of able to plan what I'm going to teach. I can have
Right.
it online, face to face
Yes.
with them, or I
Right.
can have asynchronous class with them
Yes. You can have
when we have
you can record your lessons, and your
exactly
students
when
can watch the recordings over and over again.
True, true. This is when we go on with our flipped classroom. We just give them whatever we need to give, and when they come back to us, then we can discuss and we can go through the activities with them. So it gives them some kind of background knowledge they need, in what we are going to teach, and we can go on with our lessons faster. So it's
Exactly.
kind of,
Yes.
yeah, I would
So
like to thank the
that's why.
pandemic.
That is why, isn't it true? Never let a crisis go to waste. Because when
Mm,
crisis happens, that's when change, very much needed change, will happen, and happen
yes.
quickly, not gradually, but quickly.
Yeah, very very quickly, like even like us, if we have not come to this pandemic, if we have not gone to this pandemic, we wouldn't have come up with this
Exactly.
uh, the KOMAD. We
Comma.
wouldn't have
Yes.
thought of
Exactly.
KOMAD
Yeah.
at all.
Yeah.
Okay, last year
Yeah,
we,
you'll
we
be
thought
thinking
of
about,
KOMAD.
you'll be thinking, oh, I have to fly this speaker from UK and this speaker from Indonesia. Do we have the finances to fly them over? Where are we going to get the allocation?
Exactly.
Now, look at you. You have 18 series of KOMAD, and you have so many speakers from all over the world
True,
for
speakers
free.
and also participants. Yeah. So that
Right?
was a very good sharing. Will you like to share any more?
Yeah, I think that's it. Probably we'll start to take questions if there are any.
I don't see any questions from the
Okay. Right.
participants. They are okay. It's just that the one question we had just now, it's how to motivate our students. Uh, so it is answered. You have answered that
Yeah, the
question.
onus is on
So
us actually. Yeah, right.
yes, it is actually on us. Okay, if that is all, then I think we would like to thank you IPG KBA would like to thank you and also everybody for this lovely sharing sessions. Okay, and this will conclude our 18th session of KOMAD 2021. Thank you all for attending. We hope
Thank you
that
very
you
much.
have learned. Yes. thank you for coming. Despite your tight schedule, you have to
Thank you
be
very much
in your you are
for
at your
having me.
meeting in Seremban, but I know that you have spent your time to be with us. Thank you very much.
You're
And
most welcome.
we hope that all of you have learned and enjoyed this presentation. And I would like to take this opportunity to thank the Educational Technology Division, MOE, for the platform given, the studio director, Encik Sharul Azhar Ali, the producer, Dr. Suras Kanagasabai, IPG KBA for its technical support, and our lovely rapporteurs. With this, I will hand over to Dr. Hakima for the closing of KOMAD 2021. Please do not go away. Do stay with us. And Puan Anis, do you have anything to say? Maybe you would like to say a word or two before we take a break. Okay, I think Puan Anis have left the studio. Okay, with this, over to you, Dr. Hakima.
Thank you, Dr. Silvanayagi. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh, and a very good morning, I must say, to every one of you. Ladies and gentlemen, first and foremost, I would like to express my appreciation to the speaker and also to the moderator. So we are now at the closing ceremony of KOMAD 2021. Good afternoon, everyone. The Honorable Dr. Rusmini binti Ku Ahmad, Director of Institute of Teacher Education, Ministry of Education Malaysia. Yang berbahagia, Dr. Haja Bushra binti Ali, the Deputy Director of IPG Campus Bahasa Antarabangsa, who is also the Chair of KOMAD or Colloquium Maya Antarabangsa dan Domestik 2021. Good afternoon also to the heads of departments, heads of units, lecturers, teachers, students, educators, and not to forget the viewers around the globe who are virtually present here today. Welcome to the closing ceremony of Colloquium Maya Antarabangsa dan Domestik, or also known as KOMAD 2021. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Institute of Teacher Education International Languages Campus, or IPGKBA, we feel very honored to host this event. For the past 8 weeks, the Secretariat have brought you 18 live webinar series for this virtual colloquium with the theme Humanizing Teaching and Learning, the Dynamics of Language Education in the Waves of Global Change. We also would like to express our appreciation for your endless support and participation in this virtual colloquium. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to invite Yang Berbahagia Datin Dr. Haja Bushra binti Ali, the Deputy Director of IPG Campus Bahasa Antarabangsa, to deliver her speech. The screen is yours, Datin.
The Honorable Dr. Rusmini binti Ku Ahmad, Rector of the Institute of Teacher Education, Ministry of Education, Malaysia, Head of Department, Head of Units, Educators, Lecturers, Teachers, Students, and not to forget the viewers around the globe, participants both local and international. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and thank you for being here with us with us today through this virtual platform. Kolokvium Maya Antarabangsa dan Domestik or KOMAD 2021 is the second webinar series organized by the Institute of Teacher Education International Languages Campus or better known as IPG KBA. The first KOMAD started last year, and this year the Resource and Educational Technology Division BSTP has been given the honor to jointly support this virtual colloquium on information and knowledge sharing through research and best practices in the field of language education. Education today is full of challenges. Living in the endemic has absolutely changed the landscape of teaching globally. Today's 21st century challenges celebrate the educators' effort to humanize teaching and learning so that realistic strategies and methods can be creatively implemented. Thus, the theme for the webinar series, Humanizing Teaching and Learning, the Dynamics of Language Education in the Wave of Global Change reflects the efforts by educators from different regions in sharing their knowledge and expertise in language teaching, be it online or offline. This theme encapsulates the three main objectives of this virtual colloquium, which include sharing of best practices from different sub-themes, exposing educators to innovation and management of teaching and learning, and also establishing networking among domestic and international educators. That said, this webinar have successfully attracted 40 countries with more than 4,309 registered participants from Southeast Asian region and countries from all over the world. The presenters who collaborated with IPG KBA came from University Technology Malaysia, University Kebangsaan Malaysia, University Malaya, South Korea, Goethe Institute Malaysia, Victoria University of Wellington in New Zealand, an Indigenous Master Trainer and English Language Teaching Center, Ministry of Education Malaysia, University of Nairobi, Universitas PGRI Adibuana, Indonesia, Wisdom Islamic School, Philippines, Nanyang Technological University, Singapore, University of the Visual and Performing Arts, Colombo, University of Southampton, International Islamic University, Malaysia, the Director of IPG Campus, Tun Abdul Razak, and from our very own IPG KBA academics departments. The presenters shared their best practices and views on humanizing learning and teaching based on their context and area of expertise. Ladies and gentlemen, the Ministry of Education in its Malaysian Education Blueprint 2013 to 2025 has addressed 5 systems of aspiration for Malaysian education system that comprise access, quality, equity, unity, and efficiency. These aspirations are in line with IPG KBA mission in providing training and accreditation for both pre and in-service teacher pursuing diploma and degree level qualification in the teaching and learning of English as a second language. In addition, IPG-KBA, in its expanding roles, provide courses for the teaching and learning of other international languages such as French, Japanese, German, and Korean. Recognizing the growing demand for these international languages at the local and regional level, IPG-KBA's effort is translated into actions and strategies that require a shift in actions and implementation of our education system. I strongly feel that education for learners with diversified contexts and background must be given emphasis and must be supported by building of knowledge, skills, and high impact research, as well as innovation in practices for language teachers and educators in general. For the presenters, participants, and online viewers, I do hope that this virtual colloquium has left a memorable impression in your memories over the last 8 weeks. The KOMAD Secretariat has been a gracious backbone for all of us during this virtual colloquium, and I thank them for their support. Also, I truly appreciate the strong support given by IPGM, the Resource and Educational Technology Division, BSTP, MTCP IPG-KBA Alumni, and Ministry of Foreign Affairs Malaysia for KOMAD 2021. I wish a pleasant and productive day ahead to all and hope to see you again in many more years to come. Till then, stay safe, jumpa lagi, and see you again next year, insyaAllah. Thank you.
Thank you, Datin Dr. Hajar Bushra binti Ali. Now, allow me to invite the Honorable Dr. Rusmini Bintiku Ahmad, Rector of the Institute of Teacher Education, Ministry of Education Malaysia, to deliver her speech and officially close KOMAD 2021. The screen is yours, Dr. Rusmini.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Honorable Datin Dr. Bushra binti Ali, Deputy Director of the Institute of Teacher Education, International Languages Campus, Kuala Lumpur, Heads of Departments, Heads of Units, Lecturers, Colleagues, Teachers, Students, and not to forget the viewers, guest speakers and participants for both local and international. Assalamualaikum and thank you for being here with us today through this virtual platform. First of all, I would like to congratulate the Institute of Teacher Education International Languages Campus Kuala Lumpur or IPG-KBA for their effort and success in organizing Colloquium Maya Antarabangsa and Domestic or Virtual Colloquium International and Domestic KOMAD 2021. This is the second year KOMAD has taken place despite the limitations and challenges of COVID-19. I'm also glad to see that many of you are still excited and actively participating in online conferences in the comfort of your own homes or offices without sharing the same physical space with colleagues, friends, and new friends, which we usually do when we attend international conferences like this one. Ladies and gentlemen, KOMAD 2021 signifies IBA's or IPG-KBA's ambition to organize a virtual colloquium that includes participation from both domestic and international education professionals via 18 webinar series to share and exchange their ideas in developing teaching and learning for the 21st century. KOMAD is also part of the Institute of Teacher Education Malaysia's initiatives to strengthen high-impact research and innovation practices and to encourage collaborations with educators at local and international level, which transpire through the Institute of Teacher Education Transformation Plan 2016 to 2025. Humanizing teaching and learning, the dynamics of language education in the waves of global change is the theme chosen for this year's colloquium. To humanize teaching and learning means that education needs to focus on the learner's needs. It also means to prepare learners to be future ready. Through the National Education Transformation Program called Transformasi Sekolah 2025 or TS25, education administrators, schools, teachers, learners and communities are collaborating to humanize the learner experience in education institutions throughout Malaysia. Some of the elements of humanization include fostering democratic citizenship, leadership and character formation, achieving social and national integration, nurturing moral and spiritual values, and building social capital, all of which I'm sure were widely explored and highlighted by the speakers of this colloquium. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm confident that KOMAD 2021 had created space and opportunities for education professionals to share and exchange views and experiences in taking a humanistic approach to education. Humanizing education also means creating a safe space for learners to learn and engage in learning. It is also about accessibility, reaching out to the learners and letting them explore learning in real time, bringing the outside world inside to provide as much authentic experiences as possible for learning to be meaningful. Some may argue that technology advancement takes away the humanistic elements in education. However, smart technology management will allow for effective teaching and learning. This would also mean that in the process of humanizing education, technology will coexist and complement learning. Before I end, I would like to extend my appreciation and congratulations once again to the Colloquium Committee from the IBA for their effort in organizing this colloquium. Not to forget, I would like to thank the technical team from Educational Resources and Technology Division or BSTP for broadcasting the webinars. To all the speakers, participants and viewers from all over the world, thank you for your support and participation in making this colloquium possible. On that note, with Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, I declare KOMAD 2021 closed. Thank you and insyaAllah see you again next year. Wabillahi taufiq wa hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
We take a class to take teachers how to teach online.
I'm an academic, I write books and articles and so forth.
Share their knowledge and vast experience in educational field.
Impactful strategies for empowering language teachers through teaching and learning.
Thank you, Yang Berbahagia Rector Dr. Rosmini Ku Ahmad for her speech. Ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of this event. As the organizer for KOMAD 2021, we would like to apologize for any unforeseen circumstances while managing this virtual colloquium. The KOMAD 2021 Secretariat have done their very best effort to ensure very minimal technological hiccups for this webinar. Once again, million thanks for your participation and support. The organizer would like to also thank all the 18 speakers, the producer of Educational Web TV, Dr. Suras Kanagasabai, the studio director, Cik Syarul Azhar Ali, the Educational Technology Division, Ministry of Education Malaysia, the webinar moderators, Nick Danish Haikal bin Muhammad Saidi for his wonderful montage videos, and also the webinar rapporteurs. As a training institution, IPG Campus Bahasa Antarabangsa is looking forward to expanding our networking and academic collaboration with you in the near future. Hence, please do not hesitate to contact us at virtual colloquium IPG KBA 2020 at epembelajaran.edu.my. Till we meet again at KOMAD 2022, stay extra vigilant and have a pleasant day ahead. Thank you, everyone. Assalamualaikum.